Hey, Divine Leader, welcome to this episode, Manifestation Secrets, Actualize to Fast Track Your Self-Actualization. Manifestation as in physicalization, actualization, bringing energy into form. So, as we're diving into this topic today, I just want to set the table, so to speak, so that we have a context for really what's inspired this episode. As you may know, I've been leading the evolution in consciousness for quite some time now, as I know you are also here as a leader raising consciousness on the planet. And so there is this larger context of the evolution in consciousness that I always have my finger on the pulse of, which is that we have come from separation or survival consciousness, which means that there is that old paradigm of lack, something's missing. And now we're in this new paradigm of unity consciousness, and there's a whole different operation system that's at play. And so at its base, some of the aspects of manifestation very much founded and experienced and can perpetuate separation consciousness, which is you have something that you desire. Like if we were having a conversation, I said, hey, what are you looking to create over the next 6 months? You probably would have a list of things that you desire. And at the same time, that can seem like, okay, well, I want this, but I don't have it. And it can bring up that lack. It can bring up the separation. And on the flip side, you are a divine being, you're always expanding. So it's natural for you to have desires and to expand and to manifest. So I just wanted to set the context that there is this larger evolution in consciousness that's happening here at the Seven Figure Spiritual Leader. You know, we spiral and candy cane between talking about spirituality, like the evolution in consciousness, leadership, different ways of leading ourselves and the new paradigm of leadership. And then the seven figures really like the stand-in for wealth and manifestation and money. And so in this episode, as manifestation really kind of touches all three of those, yet we're looking at it from especially the spiritual lens, from the evolution in consciousness. And one of the things that the guides have been talking to me about, which I'd never realized this before, and I have been really on a path of manifestation, like for a long time. You know, one of the first bodies of work I brought in with Source was around manifesting. It's been something in my lifetime that's had a big role. Of course, we teach our advanced manifestation in the Magdelene Codes Multi-D Abundance Method program. And so I've been kind of around the block with manifesting for a long time. And what I hadn't seen that the guides were sharing with me, which I think you'll find also really super cool, is looking at it from the lens of manifesting. One of the secrets of manifesting is that it's actually a stage in consciousness. It's actually an evolutionary stage in consciousness. Now, one of the foundations that I come from, that we talk about in divine transmissions, is that divine to divine, that you're a divine being, I'm a divine being. And we're in this process of embodying more of our divine selves. And so that is also going into higher vibrational states, yet in a very integrated way, like being a divine being incarnate. And so manifesting is one of the ways that we also get to practice the descension spiral, bringing things into physical form. And there'll be times in our evolutionary process, like when we're in different stages of evolving consciousness, where having a manifestation practice and being able to say, okay, I'm choosing to create this, and then creating it is actually a fast track to self-actualization, because we can talk about evolving consciousness. Another way to speak of that is self-actualization or enlightenment, or just being a high vibe, happy individual in your life, however you want to talk about it. And so when we look at it from that lens, and I do want to go more deeply into it, yet how manifesting can actually be a fast track to our self-actualization, and we'll be drawn to it, we'll be called to it at a certain stage in our evolution and consciousness. And so let's talk about that a little bit more, because I know it's like a big concept, a very large topic that we're grounding in here as we're talking about it more and more. So when there is manifestation as an evolutionary stage, it speaks to certain divine capacities that you have, certain what the guides talk about in the Tablets of Light book as your universal design and your unique design. And so in your universal design as an infinite being incarnate, you have these different divine capacities. So the guides have talked a lot over the years about the divine genius evolutionary stage, where there's a time in your evolutionary stage in consciousness where really tapping into your divine genius, and then also the like ascended master evolutionary stage in consciousness, or being a creator being, where you're creating where you come to a place where when you create your own body of work or your own book, there's more to be garnered from it than reading like 1,000 other books. So that's, they've talked about the divine genius stage a lot over the years. And so when they've started to talk about the manifestation as an evolutionary stage, and you probably can just feel like I have goosebumps all over. It was one of those moments where I just got really excited and thrilled and delighted, because it's one thing to know that we are creator beings, that we create our lives, that we co-create with source, with the universe, with the quantum field, within that divine order, yet also within our choice. And it's another thing to experience it here on the physical plane. So I'm a huge proponent of like integrated spirituality or applied spirituality or higher consciousness, because it's also a way that we get to demonstrate what we know on the higher planes and who we are as multidimensional beings walking on Earth. And so that's why I love myself birthing bodies of work. It puts me in the creator seat. Why I love midwifing and co-creating with our clients to be actualizing their bodies of work based on their divine genius, as well as manifesting. Because as you can consistently manifest, there's a level of adeptness, there's a level of higher consciousness or evolving consciousness, or whom it is that you become in the process, that is so magical. It's really a delightful process. And so that is the number one manifestation secret that I really want to talk about in this episode, is that when you actualize, it's a fast track to your own self-actualization. Because sometimes it can be less obvious when we are on a path of higher consciousness to say, okay, well, what's going to be that thing that's going to assist me to move to another evolutionary stage in consciousness, that's going to assist me in my spiritual growth, that's going to that's going to create that expansion. It's easier to say, okay, if you want to be able to be stronger, then you have a clear path to that. There's a lot of different workouts that you can do. And how is it that you work out your spirituality muscle? How is it that you work out your higher consciousness muscle? Well, life. Your life is really your playground for that, and everything that's happening always accelerates as you know what it is that we're up to. And at the same time, you know, when you first start looking at growing your consciousness or expanding your consciousness, there are things that also may be more obvious, like, okay, I'm going to have a meditation practice, or I'm going to do affirmations, or I'm going to practice gratitude, or I'm going to be of service, or there are these kind of like immediate things, and yet you may not have contemplated, well, I'm actually going to get really great at manifesting. I'm going to be able to manifest on command. I'm going to be able to actualize something from the higher vibrations into physical form as a way of tapping more into my spiritual nature, you as a creator being. And I'm just like still kind of having my mind blown, my heart blown open with this recognition, with this realization of our adeptness with manifestation is actually an evolutionary stage in consciousness. So, as you most likely know, and you have this as well, perhaps, I have been really partnering with, especially with the Egyptian lineage, with the gods and goddesses of Egypt or ascended masters. And what I love about using the guides as looking at archetypal energies and what is it that they're showing us is that we can often see that they're ascended masters of multiple things, and that there are manifestation gods and goddesses there, and in different ways, right? Like there's Isis, who is the goddess of love and midwifery and magic and healing and agriculture and crystals, and she has and the blood mystery, like and she has different ascended masteries that are all related to love. And there's Ptah, the creator being, the Egyptian god, who speaks the world into being on the plinth of Ma'at. And the imagery is always so, I find just really beautiful. Like Ptah has this blue skull cap, this lapis blue, like almost like a swimsuit. And then his feet are mummified. And then he holds this staff. Like they always have different staffs of power, whether it's the Jed or the Waz or the Ankh or and with Ptah, like being on the plinth of Ma'at, divine order, speaking the world into being with his head in the galaxies, the blue, the sky, his feet firmly planted on the ground, and his heart in the magic of the moment. So Ptah is a creator being. He speaks the world into being. He's a creator God. He's a God of manifestation. And of course, like I have such a deep connection to Egypt, and also very intergalactic. And then of course my connection to the Magdalenes, and being an American who lives in southern France, and the Magdalenes as in the beings of light that are connected to love. So if we look at Isis, for example, and the images of Isis, that she often has these beautiful wings, and these wings are connected to the heart. It's highlighting that manifesting through the open-heartedness, just like Ptah has the blue on his head, that there's really that recognition of like the higher planes, the higher consciousness, the infinite knowledge, like Thoth, of speaking the world into being. So whether it's Lakshmi, or you may have other archetypes of gods and goddesses that are related to abundance and specifically to manifestation, that being a creator god or goddess, it's a part of the Egyptian mysteries. It's a part of the ascended masters, and it's a part of our daily life, the rituals, the milestones, the earmarks of our path of walking in this lifetime. So manifesting at first glance can seem like it's a way to heal separation consciousness, because in some ways it can bring up the survival, like I want to manifest because there's something that's missing, and then I'm here and I want to be there, and then there's like this place in the middle, and the place in the middle is really exciting, because it's like, who is it that you get to become, that you already are in the process of manifesting. And that when you're manifesting on the physical plane, there's the external, like what you want to manifest that you can hold in your hand, that's in the physical plane. That may be a new home, it may be money, it may be a relationship, it may be clients in your business, it may be a best-selling book. Those are the things, the external manifestations that you can hold in your hands. And one of the cool things about that, especially when it's a creation or a body of work or a book, but really in general, is that then you have this creation that's in the physical plane, that's also vibrating to you as a creator being, and what it is that you're here to really contribute to the Earth Star. So there's outer manifestations, and then there's inner manifestations. And one of the original Emerald tablets, and I know that this is like a speed course on so much around spirituality and higher consciousness and gods and goddesses in Egypt. And for some of you, you may be like, oh yeah, I'm aware of all this. And for others of you, you're like, wait, this seems to be about 20 different classes at once. And yet it all really is speaking to this core focus of the manifestation secrets. So one of the biggest emerald tablets from Thoth, who's my business partner, kind of main guide, keeper of the Akashic records, scribe, healer, sacred architect, communication. There's so many aspects to Thoth or Thoth that also associated with the emerald tablets. That one of the most famous emerald tablets is as above, so below, as within, so without. And the internal state when we are manifesting, like joy, it's something you can see. Can you hold joy in your hands? Like you can see it on your face, or you can feel it vibrationally. And there may be something that you can hold in your hands that represents joy, like when you're holding your child, or when you have your book arrive in the mail for the first time, you open it. Like there are things that you can hold that are associated to joy. Yet it's the internal state. That's the within, the as above, so below, as within, so without. And really looking at that through the lens of manifestation, that there is the as above. The as above is having your head in the connected to source in the galaxies like Ptah. The higher vibrations, your inspiration. As below, your capacity to actualize that on the Earth star. As within, that's your internal state, that the journey and the destination are aligned, that you are in a state of joy as you're creating. You're in an empowered creator being state. Your words are aligned with what it is that you're choosing to manifest, and that manifests without. And that is also the external manifestation. So there's internal and external manifestations, and they really go together. They really go together, as above, so below, as within, so without. And they're a part of a path, a really clear path to self-actualization. Because as you actualize, you become self-actualized. If you look back at any of kind of what you're the most proud of that you have incarnated in this life, that you've created in this life, that you have actualized in this life, it's probably had a pretty accelerated self-actualization path to it. And that is really, really, really illuminating to recognize that it is absolutely 100% about the thing, like creating the thing that you're choosing to create. And at the same time, it also is a path, a very a very aligned and coherent path to greater self-actualization. Is what is self-actualization? It is actualizing more of you. So as you manifest, you're actualizing more of you. You're manifesting what matters most to you. And that self-actualization, as well as the divine self, it's manifesting more of you as a creator being on the Earth star. And so the thing that you're choosing to manifest, the external outcome or the result that you can hold in your hands, it has so many different layers to it, which I won't go into here. You'll probably do that in another episode of really looking at why is it that you want what you want from the soul perspective, from the Akashic record perspective. And yet for now, in this universal way, there's a recognition that having a manifestation practice, becoming more adept at manifesting, is an evolutionary stage in consciousness. When you actualize, it's a fast track to your self-actualization. So as we're wrapping up here, I would just invite you, if you're feeling called, to jump in a little bit more fully around manifestation with my support and the guide support, to check out the Magdelene codes, multi-abundance method. We really are offering this as an advanced manifestation practice to support you to physicalize, to actualize yummy money, sublime time, divine relationships, vibrant energy, and what the Magdalenes speak of as multi-abundance, like what your mission requires, the resources that your mission requires, and really also providing some live coaching with me and the Magdalenes to support you with manifesting what your deepest desires, not only so that you have them, because I'm really a stand for thriving healers, practitioners, coaches, leaders, that it's a completely different paradigm to be contributing from a place of overflowing. And yet also recognizing that the deeper reason that you may be called to join us and to take on a manifestation practice is because you are embodying your ascended mastery of manifesting, your divine capacity, the aspect of you, just like our goddess, that has the capacity to create in the physical plane, and not from overworking, heavy lifting, tons and tons of action to make up for a lack of alignment. Because of course you're going to be taking aligned action. It's why you chose to incarnate. You're not doing this only in the higher planes. So being an action taker is important. And yet if you're tuning in here, you most likely already are taking action, yet to have your action be supported by the energy to really fine tune the energetics when it comes to manifesting, so that the action that you're taking does really create the results. And one of the things I love about the Magdalene codes is what they speak about is these milestone manifestations. One of them is manifesting 100% of your desires. Like I know for myself and our clients, it just was speaking with a client, Magdalene codes client the other day, and she was saying how she was so excited because she's a coach and healer, and she was offering her healing practitioner training. And in the past, she noticed like when it was 75% full, like she would just kind of sit back and contract. And that was kind of her set point where something in her would stop. And after the Magdalene codes, she like the start date of the program was there, and she just didn't stop. She just kept being the invitation. And 48 hours after the program started, she had sold 100% of her spots, like sold out. And that's a demonstration of this manifestation, like 100% of your desires, because most likely it's going to be in that, whatever our set point is, the 75 to 100, that's going to really create the accelerated path to our self-actualization. Who is it that she became to continue to hold space, to continue to be the invitation to meet 100% of her desires. So that's also one of the milestone manifestations that we focus on in the Magdelene codes. And it's not so much about like pushing through to just like meet your target no matter what it is, because she didn't really do a lot more. It's that she continued to stay open and continued to stay in the invitation, and was just like, it's going to be 100% of the desires. So if you'd like to find out more about the Magdelene codes, probably the easiest thing is to just email my team at divinetransmissions.com, DIVINE transmissions, like the car.com, divinetransmissions.com. And you can just say like code, Magdelene codes, or something like that. And then we can be in touch with you with a few questions just to make sure it's a line match, like where you are, what you're looking for is a match for what the program offers. So I hope you've had as much fun as I have in this podcast. Thank you for tuning in. There's a ton of jewels in there. And I just really am extending my love and appreciation to you for you being a creator being. So what is it that you are going to create that's going to actualize more of you along the path of self-actualization? Thank you.